I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for what it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Correct.
Everything should be correct tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Clearly, we don't have any patron participation tonight, so we'll skip that part. All right.
All right, I will go ahead and walk us through the consent agenda. Item 5 on the agenda for tonight. You have the claims docket that was included in your board packet that you were able to examine before the meeting. We also have the minutes from our previous board meeting to approve tonight. Under personnel report, you see the people listed as new hires, and also we have a couple resignations there. And letter D, we had no donations for this past month. And with that, I'd recommend that you approve items A, B, and C.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, A, B, C, and D.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, under new business, item A, we need approval of the 25-26 school meal prices. I apologize, we should have done this in our previous meeting, but breakfast for students is $2 for the upcoming school year, or this school year, I guess I should say. For kindergarten, for lunch, K to 5, $3 will be the increase for their meals. In grades 6 through 12, that goes up to $3.20. And for an adult, buying a lunch is $4.80. I would ask for your approval. If you have any questions, I will call Sherry Caricio and let her answer those for you.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-26 school meal prices.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, moving on to letter B. We did this, I'm looking at Mr. Prokop here, we did this last year, correct? With the yearbook?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore, I think it was included in your board packet, the contract that we have. Were there any changes from last year's contract to this year's contract?
No, it's the same contract.
Okay, so with that being said, do you want to make any comments why we are doing this, or is the board comfortable with okaying it? Or asking any questions?
Since I'm new to it, I'm just curious what that is.
Yes, so Ray Olson, so Mr. Howard, who's in charge of our yearbook, last year approached me and the admin team and wanted to suggest that Ray Olson, who has a photography business, if she could kind of take some of those photos for after-school activities in order to be in the yearbook, simply because the yearbook class is smaller, and typically those that are in the yearbook class are the ones playing in the game. And so they weren't able to last year, and so we kind of had Ray come in. She took tons of photos, and it was awesome, and the yearbook turned out really well. And then I also use all of those photos for our website and any social media posts that we do for the game. And so it worked really well last year, and the plan was to keep it, try to do it again this year. And Mr. Howard, who receives a stipend, part of that, all of that pay comes out of Howard's stipend for that, just so we can keep that going.
Any other questions from the board?
It's nice to be able to see all that.
You want to hit your button, April, when you speak, please? I know it's hard to get used to. Okay, with that then, I would recommend that the board approve the yearbook sports photographer for the 2025-26 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve the yearbook sports photographer for 2025-2026 school year.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You know, the golf girls complained about the photos that I took the other night, so. They all said those are terrible photos, so.
Step up
we'll
your
have to
game.
We'll have to send Ray to the golf match.
For the record,
So I don't get-
I didn't post those photos
so I don't get in
online.
trouble.
That goes down there.
They were good.
The girls didn't like them, mostly Bella.
All right, so we can move on after this informal discussion. We have the second reading of Neola. These were presented at last month's board meeting. And unless there are questions, I would recommend that you approve the updated Neola policies from the September 2024 update.
I'll make a motion to approve the updates to Neola policy from September 2024.
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And for those people listening online, Neola is our school board policy manual that we have, and they are available on our website if anybody wants to review those. You can go to School Board Bylaws and Policy on our main website, and you can find those policies listed. Item D, we also have a second reading, as we presented at last month's board meeting, for the November 2024 board packet. And I would recommend that the board approve the updated Neola policies from the November 2024 update, unless you have any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the Neola policies from the November 2024 update.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the next item, E, is a first reading, and I would anticipate that we have some discussion tonight on this policy. If you recall, we had a parent come forward last year about this time asking us to take a look at our homeschool policy and whether or not we would allow homeschool students to participate in Hamilton athletics. And Mr. Prokop, along with the administrative team, has reviewed and discussed this quite thoroughly, and there's differences of opinion among the administrative team as well. I would expect the board not to all be in agreement either, but the majority will decide next month as to what we would like to do with the athletic policy. So with that, I'd like Mr. Prokop to present the policy to the board, and then I'd like to have a good discussion afterwards.
So currently, our policy, our school board policy is that you have to be enrolled full-time in order to play any athletics and/or extracurricular activities. So this is athletics and extracurricular activities such as robotics club and things like that. What the admin team, we met and we discussed on a couple of times is changing that to reflect what the IHSAA policy is. And they have 5 requirements. Number 1 is that in conjunction with the non-public, non-accredited school, which would be the home school, and the public school serving the student's resident, provides proof to the IHSA that the spirit of eligibility rules will not be compromised. So basically that means that they are taking their classes that they say they are, and they're passing their classes that they have. He has to be enrolled in the non-public, non-accredited school for the previous 3 years. So if they are a freshman and want to do athletics for us in their home school, they would have had to been homeschooled during their 8th grade year, their 7th grade year, and their 6th grade year. 3 years in a row. Number 3 says the student completes any statewide exams authorized by the Indiana Department of Education. So any state testing that all of our kids do, those kids, even though they're only here maybe 1-2 periods, they would take those tests as well. Number 4 talks about proof of meeting the provisions of 18.1. So turning in report cards, transcripts, things like that. And then they have to be enrolled in a minimum of 1 class. And so part of rule number 1 talks about they have to be a resident of Hamilton. And so in Hamilton School District. So a student that lives in Hamilton School District has been homeschooled for at least 3 years or longer, has to be enrolled in one of our classes, and then also has to make sure that they're in good standing. And then take the state testing. What we're proposing is to follow that rule for all of our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. There is a difference for our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They would follow the same rules except for the state testing rule. We, as a group, said we would not require them to have to take the state testing that they do 5th through 8th grade, which they could tell you more about what that state testing is, because I, at this point, don't even know which one it is anymore. Questions? I know because there's a lot that goes into this, and like Dr. Reichart said, not even all of us agreed on it at first and kind of breaking it down, and so that's why we kind of came up with these rules.
Well, I just want to clarify, though, that the list of rules that you read are not rules that we came up with. Those are IHSAA requirements in order to compete in IHSAA event.
Correct, which IHSA only covers 9 through 12. We would use those IHSA rules for our 5th through 8th graders as well, because there is no governing body over 5th through 8th grade. I try to stick with IHSA rules for those kids.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we clarified that, because if we, as a board, have the ability to accept that IHSA rule and say, okay, we're going to, if they meet these criteria, we're going to allow them to participate, or we have the ability to say, even if they meet these criteria, they can't participate unless they're a full-time student. Just wanted to make sure we clarify that we have no leeway on the set of rules. We just can choose whether we can say if they meet them, they can play, or we have the ability not to. Of course, except for the exceptions on grade 5 through 8.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that very clear, because I think there was some confusion on some of that stuff, maybe in the beginning.
Yeah, so right now our school board policy is can't play. That's simple as it is. I'm asking to review that policy, change it to what the IHSA recommends and what they have their rules set on.
I personally feel it's a good outreach to open it up to other kids. We've had some that were homeschooled and have started playing sports, and then they enrolled. I just think it's a good community thing to say, yes, we care about your kids, even if you're choosing to keep them at home, to do it. I am curious about why the 5 to 8 are required with state testing. Just curious, not that I'm saying whether they should or not.
Yeah, that was something we talked about as an admin team, and Mrs. Brown had reiterated to us several times that it is a big headache for the 5 through 8th grade testing. And since it wasn't a requirement, we decided that wouldn't be something we would require. Yep, I wanted to reiterate too, the 3 consecutive years, that was a misconception also. I had somebody ask that was homeschooled, and I want to say it was 3rd and 4th grade, then was in school 5th grade, and then homeschooled 6th grade, and it kind of was, that would not count. So those 3 consecutive years would start over again.
3 straight years in a row currently, so it couldn't be 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then now they're in 7th grade and they want to go homeschool.
Right.
So it has to be 3 years in a row, which really, that rule alone just shrinks down the
Yes, it
population
does.
we're talking
Yes, it
about.
does.
Then you have to say they have to live in Hamilton District, so now you're talking about it's a policy that I'm looking to change that could potentially never even be brought up, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
I'm hoping more of the Fremont situation. They had a kid who was homeschool. He did 1 period. They let him come in. He ended up getting drafted in the MLB a couple weeks ago. So that's what I'm hoping that this kid, we find this kid.
Okay, David.
Goals. I agree
So-
with what
Go
you
ahead.
said,
No, go
that
ahead.
a lot of times if you can get kids in the building, they make friends, they see the everything about it, get comfortable, their parents, figure out what Hamilton's about, and maybe decide to send their kids here, or maybe just get to be a part of our school. And their kids, are better for it, so.
Do we get money for, if they take one class, do we get state money for that?
Yes, we would receive 1/7.
So if they
Of the-
took one class, we get
Right, so
1/7.
approximately, what, $1,500?
Does
They took a
7 of them
class.
show up as 1 on the ADM then? Maybe.
His point,
Maybe.
whatever, 1/7,
I do think it's a small group of people that are going to fit that, but it's a nice way to, if you're going to try something different, to see if it would work.
Do many of the schools around include homeschool kids?
I know Fremont obviously
Yeah.
does, and then Angola does as well, from my understanding. I'm not sure about other schools. It's one of those things, like I said, it doesn't happen very often. I couldn't even tell you at my previous schools if it happened.
How many Fremont kids actually are eligible? I'm not hotline trained, no, I should have been.
It's the first reading, so no action can be taken tonight, but we would vote on this if you want to go ahead with the recommendation that Mr. Prokop has made, or you can change anything as well, or you can vote no and leave it as is. So any other discussion before we move on?
I'll bring up open up one other can of worms on this, which is a very real concern of mine, is that, and again, the likelihood that we have even a few that would be eligible for this is probably reasonably slim, but we don't know moving forward. The biggest concern I would potentially have is that we have some very strict written rules in our student handbook about conduct of student athletes and eligibility for student athletes, grades, attendance, disciplinary action, those kind of things. So now we've got, if you get a group of kids that meet those requirements, that we let play sports, and now we're holding our own students, full-time students, to a set of standards for our own student handbook that we wrote. There's no way to hold the homeschool students accountable to the same standards. It's not possible. And so I think that's a source of contention on this thing, that, at least for me, that could turn into some undesirable backlash. So
Yeah, and we did discuss that a little bit. Because they have to enroll in one of our classes, that means they have to, when they register, they would have to agree to the handbook. So they would still be held accountable to that. Obviously, their classes are different than the classes we're taking, and so that, I can't really hit on that. But as far as following school rules and just like they would any of our other students, if they get in trouble outside of school rules and things like that, we can still follow our handbook even if they're just here for one class period.
Did you say something at one point, whether there was that 18-1 provision or something about grades? Did you?
Yeah, so they would still have to, so IHSA requires you to pass 70% of your classes. And so they would still be required to pass 70% of their classes in order to be eligible. So
So
for
they would
us,
have
we,
to-
yep,
they
they would have to
provide
prove that.
proof that.
Yep.
Okay.
And so we would work with Taylor Brown on that and making sure we'd get their report cards after each 9 weeks, 'cause that's when we check grades. And they would have to follow the exact same time frame that we have. We have to set dates with the IHSA. 10 days after they get a report card, I have to make sure everyone's eligible and they would be in that same category.
yeah, those two things right there do help mitigate some of my concerns for sure. Hold them accountable on the one class and the handbook and so.
I will just say that I am privy to know of one high school that was next to me in another superintendent's role where they had 4 homeschool students playing varsity basketball who came in for one class at the end of the day. It was PE. And so all 4 of those, they were great athletes and great basketball players. So they were able to play on that team. And the kids that were in school for the whole time, that were true this school's community's kids, the small community, it did cause some issues. Do I see that happening here at Hamilton? Probably not. But you have to be aware that if it would be your child who wouldn't be able to play basketball as that 5th person, and we have the homeschool student playing in their place, it will cause some issues with parents.
That has already, in my mind, has already played out with open enrollment.
Sure.
When we have kids come from, move into a different system and then take a spot on a team that one of their local kids
Yep.
would have had. So,
Yeah.
That's already
Good point.
playing out in the
That is a
state.
good point, sure, yeah.
Good point.
I'm hoping it motivates some of those kids that are our kids that let's show up to open gym practices in there, because that kid's going to. Yep. So I'm just hoping you use it as a motivation as well.
We're gonna move on from that now?
Unless there's more discussion, we will move on. Okay. I'm getting caught up, so we're doing the April 2025 Neola, and I'm going to expedite this. I've gone through, unless you have a specific question about a certain policy that I don't cover, you can bring that to my attention. I'll give you a short synopsis of what that is, but I'm not going to go through every one of these individual policies tonight. The first one is policy 1216, 3216, 4216, and 5511, dress and appearance. What the change is they've changed it from grooming with appearance. Let me see. These policies were revised to replace the term grooming with appearance, as the term grooming has morphed into some other type of considerations. So a lot of these are technical things. Policy 2340 addresses field trips that are taken off-site. Those field trips that would be sponsored by an outside organization. Sometimes we take trips to Spain or France or England. Those trips are sponsored by an outside organization. Has to prove to us that they have a security plan in place in case something would happen on their trip. And it also permits, we said hotels, it permits other types of housing for these individual students, since we have Airbnbs and those other type of things. So that's the change in policy 2340. 2411, guidance and counseling. This policy has been revised to include the new requirements for completing the FAFSA, the college entrance, or the college financial aid is what I'm trying to say. Policy 1230, employment of a superintendent. This has been changed that if you hire a superintendent that is a relative of a school board member, that is permissible, but both have to file a conflict of interest statement at the beginning of a school year.
We don't even look alike, Bill.
Okay. Policy 3120, adjunct teachers. We do have one this year. So this policy has been revised to omit the requirement for discussion of the use of adjunct teachers and replace it with an option to discuss the use of adjunct teachers due to the repeal of the state code. So before we had to, technically we had to, or legally I should say, we had to discuss that with the Teachers Association. Once again, the state has taken that away. I would still discuss that with our Teachers Association though, so they know what we are doing as a school board and as a superintendent. I'm going to jump to policy 5462, retaking a class. This policy has been revised to add an option for retaking a class to allow students who earn grades below a B to retake the class and earn credit hours towards a seal on the new Indiana diploma. So it gives students a chance to retake the class to get a grade better than a B, or below a B, I should say. Policy 6116, time and effort reporting. This policy has been revised to require that any anticipated employee compensation amounts, including hourly costs and or stipends, be approved by the board before they are incurred. That's a tough one for us because we only meet once a month and sometimes we have to hire staff. So we will let the policy be in place, but we will note that there are exceptions that we have to make just because we meet once a month and we have to hire people before we meet. But I usually communicate with Scott if there's any issues, and he can communicate with the rest of you, but that's the new policy. Policy 7430, safety standards. This policy has been revised to incorporate the requirements of the new state law that since we now have a daycare facility and a preschool, that we have to test the water for lead. And I have Brad Hennessy, our maintenance director, working on that right now. And that's all that I'm highlighting off of the list. If any of you board members have specific questions you would like on a certain policy, I'll be glad to read the synopsis. If not, this is our first reading, and these would be approved at our next board meeting. Any questions? Seeing none, you ready to move on? Okay, superintendent's report. I sent you a link today because of our two movie stars that we have with us now as administrators. Hopefully you took some time to take a look. It's really well done. Kristen and Allie did a great job, although they misspelled your name, I noticed on the, they forgot the Y, yeah. You're probably looking at yourself and this. And the sister act thing at the end was cute too. I mean, that was good. So you guys handled that very well. So congratulations, and yeah, it was very good. Enrollment, good news. Right now, we are between 412 and 415 as we look at our ADM count. I think I might have said September 1st, that's Labor Day. I think it might be September 3rd is count day, and that's when we will establish our state funding for our students. But the good news is we finished last year at 378. At 412, you can do the math. We've gained several more, 30-some students. Some of these students are coming back to us that live in our district and attended other schools. Some are brand new students, and we have more new students than just these 30 plus, but the increased enrollment is at 30 plus right now. So between the last 2 years, we are at 88, 85, 88 students new to Hamilton in terms of our increased enrollment. It's fantastic news because I think Brad Hennessy told me that back in 2016 we were like 272 something, and so great news for Hamilton. Great news.
We're well under 300.
So, and it's a effort that staff and administrators and the board and our community working together has put a lot of good things on our plate here at Hamilton. Professional development, Katie Richter will be starting some professional development with our teachers this year. It's a critical area as we strive to continue to improve. Negotiations will begin tomorrow with teachers. That'll be our first informal session that I will hold with the Teachers Association. And also tomorrow, if you recall, we had a student, I think 2 years ago, present to you as a board that our weight room needs to be improved. And we have that listed as one of our projects that we would like to improve our weight room for our student athletes. And so I will be meeting, we have a couple people, Mr. Prokop and a couple others that will be meeting with a salesperson that they just finished up Cherubusco. They're called the Stray Dog, but it's not a bar. It's actually a weightlifting company. And we're going to be meeting with them just to see what is possible with our current weight room right now. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that. And we'll see where that goes. And then finally, next month's meeting, I have a conflict with because I will be in Indianapolis for the school board superintendent's conference on the 15th and 16th, actually 14th, 15th, and be back on the 16th. So I don't know what you want to do. You can have the meeting without me next month, or you can change the date, whatever you would like to do.
As a general rule, I wouldn't like to have a meeting without the superintendent.
It'll also be the budget presentation meeting as well.
Oh, it will be. Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll have to reschedule.
Do you want to look at calendars tonight, or would you like for me to email out some possibilities? The Monday before, I think we better wait with the budget.
It's gotta be done by the end of August, so.
Okay. I gotta get in the right month here. September 8th is okay, if you want to do the 8th, or the 22nd is okay.
Golf meet?
Golf?
I won't be here.
Wednesday, the 17th, Thursday, the 18th.
On the 8th? Yep, then I'm out.
The 22nd, is that okay? That's okay with me.
No golf that day.
No golf?
No. Sectionals, that's Friday.
Yeah, before
Prior.
that.
So she'll have regional practice, but
So we would just go one week later, September 22nd at 5
Your
o'clock.
birthday?
Whose birthday?
We got a hot
Well,
mic it for this. Stacy's birthday on the 22nd.
yeah, we're gonna have to have a little birthday party
We're
then.
gonna let you just slide that under the radar there.
All right, we will confirm that next month's meeting will be on September 22nd at 5:30, and that's the end of my report, unless any of you have questions. If not, we'll go to Mrs. Watkins and Mrs. Furness.
Okay, we just completed our 9th day of school today, so I told one of the teachers, okay, we're on day 14, and I don't know where the past 5 days went, but she's like, no, we're actually on day 9. But everything's going well. The kids are getting settled in, the teachers are settled in, and it's definitely been a smooth transition from the summer. We started our advisory meetings today. Mrs. Furness and I we called all the junior high students down just to review and go through current policies, procedures, and just ask questions and let them ask questions. It was more of a reminder, informational meeting, and we have the high school students coming tomorrow. Senior Sunrise we had last Friday. Ms. Zimmerman put that on for the kids. We met at the beach uptown. And it was a great turnout. The kids had so much fun and had breakfast and just kind of hung out for the morning and watched the sunrise. And I wanted to give a shout out to Miss Curcio, our volleyball coach, for our, bless you, our 3rd and 4th grade students that are on the volleyball team. I want to say there's 21 of them right now, and I could be off a couple numbers, but it's been really cool to see the younger kiddos out there, and they're starting in a MAC league. They're going to be playing on Saturdays at the MAC gym in Antwerp. Is that right, Mr. Prokop?
that is correct.
Okay, so looking forward to that. And the only other thing was I wanted to give a shout out to Wesley Gilbert for his persistence for the 21 Alive Explore Hamilton. He really is a great guy, graduate from Hamilton, and he made it a smooth transition for us because there was a lot going on that day. And he's great, and his whole team was great when they came out for the interview. So it was fun to see. And I can do autographs anytime.
We worked together on that, so everything she said.
I would just hit, she kind of mentioned it, but Sherry Crucio is working on the 3rd and 4th grade volleyball team that she's doing. She's got about 20 kids. She also is our 5th and 6th grade coach, and she has 20 kids on that team, which is a number that is not something we've hit in a long time. So we're actually going to have an A and a B kind of play two games each night. And then our 7th, 8th grade team, they're going now. They got 10 girls. So we're talking between 5th and 8th grade. We're sitting over 30 kids, which is awesome. We have our junior high cross country going on, high school cross country going on, high school volleyball, which has 15 girls, 14 girls, and then golf with 4 girls. So everything's kind of in full swing, and then we start off-season conditioning and stuff here in September. New sound system is going well. New music program. We got to try that out this past Saturday. It works really well. Scott Ailes was really pumped and excited about it. So, yeah. It's going well.
Kristen, that's the rock band, that's what we're talking about.
This is new to me. No one's brought this up, and I am not a part of that. Oh, pep band. I can do a pep band.
Our new music instructor, Mr. Mettert, was working with a class, and they decided that the best thing they would want it to do was to form a rock band. And so April's son, I think, is even a member of this new rock band. So they're having a lot of fun with it, and anything we can do to create interest in music with our students, I think, is huge. So that's what the rock band is about.
Start practicing at your house.
That's the beauty of it, is that more kids will continue to join, which is what we want. So, Brittany, any report? Treasurer's report?
The Form 9 was completed at the end of July, so that was submitted. We have the 2026 budget in progress, and also working on the annual financial report and the ECA risk report for Gateway. So that's what I've got going on.
Anything from board members?
Yes, I would like to kind of back up on what you guys were saying about Wes. I do kind of have an in with Wesley, he's my cousin. So I had just contacted him and said, do you care, I didn't know how much he wanted people knowing that he did us free of charge. And he just texted me, said, as a graduate of Hamilton Community Schools, I felt that it was important to include them in the promotion. The school is truly the heart of the community, and this was one way that I was able to give back to my hometown school. So it meant a lot to him to be.
It was awesome, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Since we pushed that meeting out in the school carnival before the next meeting, right?
Yes.
You normally say something about that. What's on the 15th or 19th or something?
The school carnival, Friday, September 19th, from 5 to 7.
Nobody has anything else? All right, that would just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second that.
Motion's made and second. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.